And so first, I just want to say welcome to the Wednesday Way, to our career exploration on Design Your Life. I'm very glad you could be here. And so my name is Abby Betts, and I will be your host today. So since it is just you, if you have any questions, just feel free to pop off of mute or to just post them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. And like I said, I'm going to turn my video off because I fidget a lot, and so that way I'm not distracting. And so I'll do that right now. Okay, so here we go. First things first, make sure your name on the screen is correct. And then if you could message me your name and Buff ID as well as your major. And then grab a piece of paper as well as a pen or a pencil for a fun activity that we're going to do here in a little bit. And then if you're able to engage with the activities, this will really help just in this virtual environment. And so if you didn't get it from the workshop title, this is Designing Your Life. And I'm really excited you're here, and I hope that during this time we can just help you to learn some new tools for designing your way forward. This is typically a semester-long class, and so I've just condensed a couple of highlights into this workshop, and I really hope it can inspire you just to take action and begin diving deeper. And then, of course, if you need any help with that, I am so happy to help you. I'd love to have a coaching appointment or a conversation with you just as you begin your way forward. And also in the chat, would you put what year you are? I didn't think about that. And let's see, next. So our goals for today are just to get more familiar with design thinking, apply these design thinking concepts to your energy levels as well as your career exploration, and then introduce odyssey planning and prototyping. Okay, awesome. I see you're a senior. That's exciting. Almost there. And so hopefully these concepts, even though you're close to graduating, can still help you just as you're planning for your future and your future careers, or career, whichever route you go. And so I want you to think back when you were a kid. What did you want to be when you grow up? And if you would just share that in the chat. And for me, mine, I'll just say I wanted to be an astronaut or a secret agent. And so obviously I did not become either of those, a doctor or a businesswoman. Okay, cool. And so does that businesswoman, is that what inspired you to get general business for your major? And feel free to pop off of mute and if you want to answer that question. Oh, not really. Okay, that's okay. That's cool though. And Jen said she wanted to be a lawyer. Also not related to career services, but it's awesome. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And so now it is time to do something. And so again, if you will pull out a piece of paper and have a pencil, we are going to do an exercise called How Many Uses? And so, so get those tools out. And then I want you to list all of the things that you can use a paperclip for. And I want you to go for as many ideas as you possibly can. And all of this I want you to do in 3 minutes. And so will you guys put in the chat if you have a piece of paper and a pencil ready? Perfect. Okay, so we are going to start the time now. All right, we'll go ahead and stop at that. So put your pencils down, and if you guys would count up your total and put that in the chat. 4. 11. Okay, cool. So let's debrief this. So in the chat, if you would type what that exercise felt like. Or I guess since it's just 2 of us, if you guys want to pop off of mute and just let us know what it felt like.
It felt fun, but also like the music kind of made me nervous.
Yeah. That's a good point. What about you, Rasha?
The music was just, I don't know. I just try to keep thinking, and I ended up with 4. I was like, I'll probably not be able to go more than 1, which is what everyone knows. But then I made it to 4.
That's good. Yeah. So that music choice, talking about that was purposeful. It's to induce stress, and which leads to feeling stuck and stuckness. And so
it induces stress.
Yes, like it's intentionally stressful music.
Oh my gosh.
So sorry about that. But yeah, so where did you feel stuck? So we talked about how many uses. So where did you get frustrated, and then where did you get stuck? I guess Rasha, for you, you said you had 4, and so what were your 4?
Well, paper clipping, use it instead of a safety pin. I actually used it once to hold my pants because they were loose, and a bookmark, and then maybe like hold a badge for the t-shirt or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. And so were you stuck for a long time? Like you got those?
Yeah, like after the first one, I was like, oh, I'm gonna suck at this. But after that, after like the second one, and then I was like, oh, maybe I can do a little bit more. And then, yeah. But you did a good job. You got 11.
Yeah, Jen, will you tell us about how you felt? What was frustrating? Where'd you get stuck?
I think at first it was just frustrating because I had to like get out of the screen to turn the music down because I was like, I can't handle this. Like I can't think with this sound. So then once I got that out of the way, it wasn't that hard. Like I never really got stuck until the very end. And then I was just, trying to think through all the things I could possibly use it for. So
Yeah, that's good. That's fun. And then so did either of y'all get unstuck? So like you were stuck for a little bit and then you thought of new ideas?
yeah, I think when I just, stopped to like look around and think of ideas. So like just using my environment, I guess.
That's good. Yeah, using environment to think of new ones. Yeah, Rasha, what about you? Did you get unstuck?
Yeah, after getting stuck, I did get unstuck. I just tried a little bit harder. And also, like Jennifer, I looked in my environment and like trying to get some ideas.
That's good. Yeah, environment is always a good idea. And so in this workshop, we really want to be thinking like designers, and so questioning assumptions and creating more room for getting unstuck. And so it actually turns out your brain is a 40-watt processor, which is really not that powerful, but it makes up for this by organizing data in the environment hierarchically in what cognitive psychologists call schemas. And so it's our brain's attempt to quickly translate the vast amount of information that it's presented within the world. And so here's a secret. I kind of tricked you and I set you up for a schema, which then led to a pathway of ideas when I showed you the paperclip doing its typical function, which was holding sheets of paper together. And so perhaps you started with ideas like holding things together. And so holding gift paper, or maybe a bag closed, or photo prints on your wall, or maybe your creative juices started really flowing and using it to hold up your phone. And then that maybe led down another road as you realize you could think of a paperclip as a tool. And so maybe you use it to reset your router or to open your SIM card on your phone, or that could lead to an adjacent schema. And Rachel, you touched on this as a repair, and so maybe as a zipper or something for your pants, which might lead to a new flood of ideas. So a substitute, like you said, for that zipper for your clothes, or for jewelry, something you wear, jumping from that jacket zipper to something you wear. And then that might lead you to think of art. And so creating little bicycles out of paper clips. So if you guys had any fun uses that I haven't mentioned yet, will you post them in the chat so others can see as well? And so moving on from that, so you might be noticing how the schema you're working with, whether it's implicit or explicit, it ends up being an assumption or a constraint that influences the number and the type of ideas that you come up with. So what does this experience of getting stuck and unstuck and this concept of schemas have to do with life design? So there's this old saying, when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And so it's really hard to take a screw out of a wall with a hammer. It's much better to use a screwdriver. So if you're aware of your schemas, you can interrogate them and intentionally take a different point of view, allowing you access to a broader set of ideas from which to design. And so there's this concept, oh, I'm on the wrong slide, I'm sorry. There we go. So there's this concept called divergent thinking, different than the novels, which are really fun, but so actually it's kind of similar. Divergent thinking is the ability to generate many ideas or solutions from a single idea or piece of information. And so it's thought of to be one of, if not the most important factors in creativity, but it's unfortunately a mostly ignored skill. So in school and most workplaces, we're actually taught and encouraged primarily to do convergent thinking, which is the ability to take many pieces of information or data and generate one solution. And so thinking of like a math equation with many variables and coming up with one solution, or generating a report and action plan for your consulting client. And so most of us gets lots of training and practice in convergent thinking, but very little in divergent thinking. And so we hope to help you better understand divergent thinking, how to generate ideas for your life, lots of ideas that are widely varied so that the choices you end up making come from a broader set of possibilities. And so takeaways from this part of the presentation are that we all get stuck, and it's unfortunate and it's not a fun feeling. But this unstuck moment, the aha moment, it's very powerful. And so if you put your brain in a scanner during an aha moment, many parts of your brain are going to light up, and it releases a lot of dopamine and other happy chemicals. And so it's like a little temporary high that designers get hooked on. So they love hard problems because they're going to get stuck a lot, and they know right on the other side of that stuck is that burst of endorphins and dopamine, which is their unstuck happy feeling. And so schemas are the assumptions or constraints we design with influence the ideas we come up with. And so then examining our assumptions and constraints can open up whole new mechanisms of getting unstuck. And so you often make up rules that don't exist. And so you might have only thought of paper-related uses for a paperclip, but that wasn't a rule. Or y'all could have been messaging each other without me knowing, but you probably didn't because you thought maybe that was a rule that you couldn't talk to each other. And so we hope to help you design your way forward and out of these unwritten rules. And so finally, this is all part of design thinking. We learn by doing, and we have to out our assumptions. And so in the Life Design Lab, we apply the innovation principles of design thinking to the wicked problem of designing your life. And just to define wicked problems, it's a problem that is difficult or impossible to solve because of incomplete, contradictory, and changing requirements that are often difficult to recognize. And so the use of the term wicked has come to denote resistance to resolution rather than evil. And so wicked problems, they don't have a stopping rule. Solutions to these are not necessarily right or wrong, and every wicked problem is essentially unique and novel. And so a very current and relevant wicked problem, just to give you an idea of an example, is the COVID-19 pandemic. So in order to find a solution to a great number, in order to find a solution that sorry y'all, I'm stumbling. In order to find a solution, a great number of people will need to change their mindsets and behaviors, like wearing masks. That's a huge debate right now. And so that makes it a wicked problem. Sorry about that. And so in the Life Design Lab, we teach you workshops or classes or webinars that help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. Actually, that is completely wrong. What we're doing is we're going to teach you workshops and classes that will help you figure out what you want to grow into. Because when you're done growing up, that means you're dead. You need to always be growing. You always want to continue to mature and grow, but you never want to be done growing. And so this leads to what exactly is design thinking. And so there are different ways. There are different ways of thinking that are used in different settings. And so you want to be clear about your approach because this will create your frame of reference and the methodology you're going to use to attack the problem. And so first is engineering thinking. This is all about looking at the problems, coming up with the best solutions. You solve your way forward. Usually there's really only one right way to build a bridge or a car engine that's going to help with the right horsepower. And so that's what engineering thinking is. And then there's business thinking. And so, Rachel, you might be more familiar with this than I am, but in business, we also analyze data to better understand the problem, and we create alternative options and then choose a solution based on the alternative that will best optimize our results. So grow revenue, reduce costs, increase customer satisfaction, or even all three. And so again, this is about optimizing your way forward. Next is research thinking. Oops, I went too fast. A research approach is all about analysis, so controlled experiences, which are going to isolate and test variables, and then a rigorous analysis of results. And so researchers analyze their way forward. And then there's the design thinking approach. Problems are solved by building your way forward. It's a process that includes great problem finding and then prototyping, which we're going to talk about more later, prototyping your way into better and better solutions. And so in essence, building is thinking. And so design thinking does have its own process. And so it was actually made famous by David Kelly. He's the founder of the D School at Stanford, as well as the product design firm IDEO. And so there are steps here. And so the first is empathize. This starts with the ability to share the feelings and perspectives of another person. And so in the case of product design, you're empathizing with the user and trying to understand what they need. And so in the case of life design, that user is you. And so we're going to do lots of self-assessments to give you the ability to empathize with where you are and where you might want to be. And so next is define. And so like we said earlier, designers love problems. So in design thinking, we're going to put as much emphasis on problem finding as problem solving. And so in defining the problem, it's all about scoping the shape and size and characteristics of the problems that you're trying to solve. And then ideate. And so designers love to ideate broadly and wildly. They love crazy ideas because they know the number one enemy of creativity is judgment. And so they defer judgment. And they use ideation techniques that are going to help you get past our brain's tendency to be critical and lead to judgment. And so in ideation, we talked about this earlier, we're going for volume because you choose better when you have lots of good ideas to choose from. And so then there's prototyping. And so once you've narrowed down to some possible ideas, it's time to pick one and to build a physical prototype. And so in product design, we're building our way forward, we're failing fast so that we can learn and iterate and get the data we need for the next prototype. And so it's an iterative process where literally hundreds of prototypes can be made to get to the ideal solution. And life design prototypes are designed to ask a question and get some data about something that you're interested in. So will I like management consulting or product management better? Prototypes will help you experience these alternatives without committing to join a company so that you can make a better decision about what you want to pursue. And then there's test. And so once you have a prototype, you have to test it to see if it works. So you can test management consulting and product management by prototyping. And so in life design, a life design prototype could be an internship. It could be a job shadow where you're shadowing a product manager for a day, or doing informational interviews with maybe 5 to 6 product managers. And so this this process on this slide, it looks linear, but it's actually fluid. So you're going to build, and then you're going to redefine, and then you're going to build that prototype again. Then you're going to think about more ideas, and then you're going to test it, and so on. But there is one more step added within life design, and that is, oh, sorry, I didn't click through this. That is the step of acceptance. And so this is your life. So as you're ideating solutions, you have to make some trade-offs or deal with constraints. So do I want to live near my family, or do I want to train for the Olympics? What if you have a family illness? Do I want to stay near my family, or do I want to take this job in Germany? And so it's all about acceptance, because once you make a decision, if you agonize and agonize and agonize over it, you're never going to be happy. But once you accept it, that this is my decision, this is what I'm doing, you're going to live a much better life. And so design thinking also has its own mindsets that differentiate them. And so these are the 5 mindsets of how designers think differently. And so first is radical collaboration. There is a major need for radical collaboration because designing is a collaborative process. And many of the best ideas are, unfortunately, they're going to come from other people. And so what's radical is that you want a diverse team with different experiences, perspectives, points of views, and even beliefs, because they're going to bring something else to the table that you can't bring yourself. Next is reframing. And so earlier we got stuck with the paperclip idea. And so reframing is how designers get unstuck. It enables them to examine the ways that they're looking at problems differently. So finding those schemas or through a new lens in order to increase the opportunity for innovation. So getting beyond that it's a paperclip is for paper and getting to it's a tool and you can do this and you can do that. And next is curiosity. So it makes everything new. It invites exploration. It's an open approach to learning more. And so think about if you have younger siblings or cousins or children, when they're like in their twos, the terrible twos, they ask all these questions. And so we want you to have a mindset almost like a childlike curiosity where you're just asking questions. And if you think about some of the questions kids ask, they really don't have a lot of judgment. So they might ask, "Are you pregnant?" to someone, and it's a really embarrassing situation. But I'm not saying go ask people if they're pregnant, but have that lack of judgment maybe, and so that you can really broaden your horizons and think of more ideas and more curiosities to explore. And so you're going to hear designers say, "Tell me more," or ask open-ended questions just to get at needs and wants. What works, what doesn't, and what's missing. So next is mindfulness of the process. So being aware of where you are in the design thinking process is so important because it informs your approach. And it's also important to be aware of your own process. Are you rushing to a solution? Are you blocked? Are you more energized by certain activities and drained by others? And so being mindful of the process is the key to journey of product and life design. And then the last is the bias toward action. And so this is the heart of design thinking because you're committed to build your way forward. And to do that, you have to do something. And so designers try things, they prototype, they test out ideas. They fail often until they find what works and solves the problem. And so they're going to embrace the change and they're not attached to one particular outcome. And so I'm going to see if this will let me show you this video.
We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, which is, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side says, gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. It's not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah, and these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others. The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it.
The process can go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find the yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
We took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
She also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. This is Jack Smith for Nightline in Palo Alto, California.
All right, so I love that video. It really just demonstrates IDEO using the entire design thinking process, which looks super fun. So all of those, the reframing, the radical collaboration, they were curious, they were mindful of their process, and they took action. And so it's really useful to just see that in action. And so if you don't know this, IDEO is a global design firm. It takes human-centered design thinking-based approach to help organizations innovate and grow, which is what we just saw. And David Kelly, he is the founder of Stanford's D School, Design School, which is where we get these ideas for this live design presentation. And so now we're going to jump into mapping our energy engagement. And so this activity, it's hopefully going to help you see the areas of your life that take up your time and energy each week, while also opening the door to increase your opportunities to thrive. And so the PDF link I sent to you guys, I think it's page 1 and 2, has the energy engagement map worksheet on it. And so right now I'm just going to explain the steps. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't have time to go through it together, but if you would like to schedule an appointment, you can conquer some curiosity thinking and radical collaboration, and we can work together and talk about it. So here's what it is. The first step is that you list the activities that crop up regularly in your week that give or drain energy from you. And then you plot these on the graph with bars indicating how much energy you get or lose. And so the bigger the bar, the more energy gained or lost. And so the x-axis is your time. And so just locating these things over the course of an average week. It doesn't have to be perfect. And of course you'll have repeats, and so you'll just put them earlier in the week as it comes first. And then don't get carried away by detailing out each day. Just locate your activities in the general part of the week that they occur. And again, recurring activities should just go once. So like sports or meetings, stuff like that. And then if you feel you might learn something from the proximity to the other things going on in a given day, put the things that are close together. And so then you're going to reflect, step 3, reflect on your map and see what you notice about your energy patterns. Are there particular kinds of activities that are energy giving or draining? Are there groupings in time that are worth noticing? And then what small or accessible changes could you make to your schedule or activities that will improve your energy flow? And then what prototypes could you make? And so just to kind of give you an example, gonna give a couple of things that happen in my life, and then show you my chart for energy draining and energy giving. And so here are a couple of things that are typical in my life. And so meetings, preparing for them. Oh, that was weird. Sorry, PowerPoint is not liking me today. So meetings, preparing for them, attending, and then the follow-up tasks, career coaching and resume review appointments, event planning and management, commuting to and from work, exercise, so yoga, going to the gym, running, my facilities job, so picking up trash, cleaning the laundry room, being outdoors, gardening, walking, reading for fun, watching TV, cooking, housework. And so here is just an example of that map for me. And so here's each thing. And so just ranking the energy levels of how I feel doing those and after I do those. And so event planning and managing, I put that kind of low because it does stress me out. I love doing it, but it makes me stressed. And so that one drains my energy. And so now you can learn from your map. So look and notice. So for me, for example, I start and end my day roughly around the same energy level. I have a combination of energy giving, more energy giving, and less draining, which is good. And then, so ideating accessible changes. And so I need to make sure like meetings and event planning are never back to back, or that will really, I'll struggle with that. And if my facility job is on a day where I'm heavy event planning, I'm definitely going to be low on my energy level. And so being mindful of that as well. Oh, sorry about that. And so takeaways, mapping your energy, it's going to give you a better sense of your engagement. So what gives you energy? What are you engaged in? What are you happy with? The sequence of these is important. So like I said, having a heavy meeting day and a heavy event planning day wouldn't be good for me personally. There's a correlation between energy engagement and the meaning of it. And you can use awareness of your energy to design your life and make your day more productive. And so back to the framework, we need some concrete ideas now. And so now we are going to make our Odyssey plans. And so accepting who we are and then ideating. And so you might be asking, what in the world is an Odyssey plan? And so first, my question for you is, how many lives are you? So how many, if you were given the opportunity, and you can just post this in the chat, if you're given the opportunity to live all the lives you would want to live, so being a businesswoman, being a lawyer, being an astronaut, being a secret agent, being a chef, if you could live every life you wanted to, how many lives would you be? And so again, you can just put that number in the chat. 5? Okay, yeah, that's a good number. That is a really good one. I think I would probably say 15 for me, which is just crazy and overwhelming. And so 3 is what we're going to go with right now. That's kind of the golden number. And so I'm going to explain how to do Odyssey plans. And again, I really encourage you to just join me in some radical collaboration and an appointment to go over those. And so it's time to ideate alternative futures. So this is a really helpful resource. I think it's important to still do it after this workshop if you're able. And again, this is in that PDF I sent to you. I think it's like pages 4 through 9 maybe. And so it gives examples and it provides blank pages for you to fill it out. So if you want to print it or if you want to do it on your computer, whatever works best for you. And so now I'll explain the different lives you're going to do. And so first is the story you tell today. And so, Raisha, you're a senior, or yeah, I guess you're a senior, and you're doing your BBA in general business. And so you're going to do life number 1, the next 5 years of this current life you're living. And so you're graduating in December. And so what does next spring look like? So that would be like year 2. And so, and then after that, what does year 3 look like? What does year 4 look like? And it's okay to do all kinds of crazy things. So if one of your goals in the next 5 years is to say run a marathon, include that in your 5 years. If you want to travel, backpack across Europe, include that. Like, when are you going to go to Europe? Or maybe in year 2 is when you apply for a passport, stuff like that. And so that's life 1. Life 2 is, what if life number 1 was gone? So you can't work in the business field. You can't do anything like that. What is your option 2? And so, like, for me, my life number 1 is career services, and life number 2 would be to go to law school, so similar to Jen. And so just being mindful of that. And so now life number 2 for me, I would do my law school life. So first I have to get studying up for, I think it's the MCAT, or the L, I forget which one the initials are, but studying up for that. And then year 2 might be doing year 1 of law school. And in the meantime, I want to start training for a half marathon. And then in year 3, I'm in law school year 2, and I want to travel to Paris. And so really just elaborating that life, doing fun things. It's not just about your career or your job. It's also about other aspects of your life. So if you want to start a family, or you want to start having kids, or get married, that kind of stuff. And so life number 3, this is hopefully going to be your most fun one. It's crazy. If money and image were no object, there's no judgment, whatever you want to do. If you want to travel across Europe, trying all of the different types of cheese or fries, whatever, that, write out that life, do that life. If you want to be a poet in California, write out what that life would look like. And so this is a fun one. And so get crazy and have fun with life number 3. So before I move on, do you have any questions about the 3 versions of you?
What does your life 3 look like?
My life 3, that's a great question, thanks, is being a traveling journalist. And so that's my example, just traveling across Europe and Africa and writing stories, having fun. So thanks for asking that. All right, and so here's just a little kind of overview. So timelines. So this is, in this section, you're going to do your major milestones, professional and personal bucket list. So like I said, traveling to Paris, and have at least one of these per year, just so you're filling this up, you're really laying it out. And then next, what questions are you asking with the plan? And so with my law school one, like one of my questions is, do I really want to go back to school for 3 more years? With the journalist one, maybe asking, can I be away from my extended family for that long? How will I fund that trip? And so those are a few examples. So ask yourself some questions. And then next you're going to come up with the 3 to 6 word title. And so maybe like law school would be, what's that? Legally Blonde, Abby Goes to Law School, or something like that. And so just coming up with a fun, quirky little title for that. And then you're going to fill out your dashboard. And so this next slide will be a little bit more detail on the dashboard. And so resources, again, I mentioned the money. Do you have the objective resources, the time, the money, the skill, the contacts you need to pull off your plan? Do you like it? Are you happy about it? Confidence. Do you feel confident about it? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Or are you like, yes, I got this. I can do it. I'm going to law school. And then does this plan make sense within itself? Is it consistent with your work view and your worldview? And so those are work view and worldview are something we can discuss later. But just does it line up with your values? Does it line up with who you are as a person and who you want to be? And so that's what the dashboard is. And then here's an example from Dave Evans, who actually is one of the co-authors of Designing Your Life, the book, and he helps run the Stanford D School. Super cool guy. And so like you can see, he went crazy. He has the half marathon. He wants to climb Mount Whitney. He wants to do all kinds of fun things. And this is the all in the Silicon Valley story. Do I have what it takes? Is my idea good enough? Will I attract, I can't remember what the VC stands for. But anyway, so that's just a fun little example. And this is also included in that PDF link so you can look back at it. And so now you might be asking, now what? So after creating your awesome 3 Odyssey plans, maybe you're going to share those with your friends and family, or you can have a coaching appointment with me. And you might find that some of those elements that you put into the plans are really growing on you, and you're thinking that you may really want to take that trip to Paraguay or go to law school or join that startup company. But if you're like many of us, the question is how, or now what? I don't even know how to get started. And so that's where prototyping comes in. I love this stuff. It's super fun. So we have lots of ideas. We've picked some that are appealing to us. And so now it's time to come up with an actionable prototype using these ideas. Design mindsets relating to career. So what does career decision making look like? It's really quite messy. It isn't as easy as putting on a sorting hat and being told this is what you should do, this is where you should go. And so you need guidance in seeing what skills, tasks, and values you want in a job. And there's so many possibilities. It's messy and it takes a lot of work. And you can take self-assessments and see what some of the options for you are out there and what you're interested in. And so once you have a top 3 from that, you can really begin talking to people about those positions and what they do and how they like it. So law school, talking to lawyers, talking to people who are currently in law school, seeing how they like it, what it's like for them. But you also might think you found exactly what you want and you start doing it and you hate it. And so it's important to try it out before you fully commit and dive in, just so that you can test it before you burn a lot of money on it. I'm going to skip that. And so now we're going to reframe career misconceptions. There are many career misconceptions, and we really want to help you reframe those using that design mindset in a way that's less overwhelming. And so the search process. I had to have 100% of the qualifications to apply. That's actually false. You don't have to. Sorry, my mouse is not working. Okay, so an employer is really just looking to hire the best fit, and that doesn't always mean that the candidate has 100% of the qualifications. To apply, I should be certain that I love the position. Reframe it as the application is the start of the process. I should apply if I think I'm somewhat interested and a good fit, because if you get to that interview, in that interview, you're going to really get to also interview them back and see if it's a place you want to work, if it's a role you want to fulfill. And so career choice, deciding on a career feels overwhelming. How can I even decide? And so reframing that, I don't have to decide what I want to do for the rest of my life today. Trying things on will help me make my career a better fit as time goes on. So prototyping. And so why do we prototype? It helps us to reduce the risk. We don't want to go all in because we're here to build our way forward. And given that you have a limited number of resources to spend, you really want to spend those wisely. And so by prototyping, you're able to expend a small number of resources to learn a lot. This will then reduce your risk, and because you've made a small investment up front, and depending on what you learn, you can decide to invest more with increased confidence, or you can choose to invest in something else. And so it also exposes assumptions. And so you thought something was going to be one way, and then it turns out it wasn't. And so you took the short internship in finance to see if working 80 hours a week is exhilarating, like you think it might be, or if that assumption is false and you're going to hate it. And so prototyping also allows you to engage with others with similar interests. And so you can bounce ideas off of these people. You can get feedback. By nature, we're social creatures. And this life design stuff is about finding your tribe just as much as it is about finding your vocation. And so prototyping the relationship piece, who would you be spending your time with while pursuing this action, this course of action, it can really yield useful information for you. And again, fundamentally, prototyping is about learning. So what makes a good prototype design? It's going to be cheap. It's going to be quick. It's going to be easy because it's all about return on investment. You want to maximize learning for minimum investment. And so here is a bad example of a prototype, Google Glass. Again, that was not cheap. It wasn't quick and it wasn't easy. And I think a lot of people realize I don't want a camera in my face 24/7. I want to use my glasses to be able to see. And so here's an example, a funny example of a better prototype for Google Glass. Doing this, it might be uncomfortable, but you can realize, yep, I don't want a camera or a microphone in my face 24/7. And so how do we make prototypes? In product design, they use the foam board model or a storyboard sketch, but in life design, we use conversations. And so the main life design prototypes are, like I said, a conversation. So an informational interview, having casual coffee, chatting after a workshop or at a party, with people on your commute, dropping by office hours. And so it's redefining the way that you chat at a party. So trying on a different hat of who you are. Or it can be an experience. So like I said earlier, shadowing someone for a day, doing an externship, doing an internship, substitute teaching, or even being a TA in a class, doing an employer site visit. So there's all kinds of options for ways that you can life design, do a life design prototype. And so this is also in your handout. And so I really want to challenge you after you do your Odyssey plans to pick something from one of them and prototype it. Frame it as a question. How might I try on being an accountant? How might I engage with a personal trainer to find the best plan for me to train for a half marathon? How might I learn about architectural engineering as a career? And again, if you feel stuck or you want some radical collaboration, we would love to help you. We'd love to join you on your path of designing your way forward and helping you find things to prototype that can really help you grow into what you want to be. And so our takeaways and next steps is we really want to help you understand more about yourself so you can really empathize with yourself. And we also want to help you through discovery and support. And so if you want to set up a career coaching appointment after you do your Odyssey plans and find some prototypes to do, we'd love to help you, or we can help you brainstorm prototypes to do for your Odyssey plan. And so with that, I will open the floor to questions. All right, well, here is my contact information. Rachel, I believe you do have my email already just from our previous appointment. And so feel free to reach out to me there or schedule an appointment in Handshake. And thank you again for coming to Wednesday Way Career Exploration in Designing Your Life.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording.